let's go do the news. Hello everybody and welcome to Clyde Plays News. Today we are covering a whole bunch of stuff that has happened in the world of Warships. Of course, you can always read the news to yourself, but why do it when I will read it to you? This is much better, don't you think? This way your hands and mind can be free. You can be playing World of Warships while you're hearing about the news. Let's get to it. Obviously, our top story today is a whole bunch of exciting stuff, including the new Christmas Dockyard ship, which has been announced. But first, let's talk about this, okay? World of Warships is removing the magazine detonation mechanic. This is a very divisive mechanic that has existed in World of Warships since the dawn of time. There's a video on YouTube of me way before I was a World of Warships streamer, way before I was a YouTube person, way before you and I have ever even heard of each other, of me detonating a full health Moskva with a Missouri at the very beginning of a match from incredible range. Some changes were made over time. There was a period of time where it was possible to detonate from full health. It's not possible right now in the game. You have to have taken, I don't remember how much damage, 25% damage or a little bit more, before there's even a chance for you to be able to detonate. Now, there are, surprising to me, there are players who are sad about detonations leaving. I want to tell you some thoughts about detonation. You can have your own thoughts. And of course, if you're watching this later on YouTube, I would love it if you would leave those comments and thoughts for me down in the comments section below. I will try to answer as many of them as I can. When we think about detonations, they do offer an exciting benefit to somebody who gets a detonation. But to be honest with you guys, I always felt guilty when I would detonate somebody because I know that there's a person on the other end of that ship, on the other end of that keyboard. And it's just really a bummer for that guy to suddenly, you know, they lose a turn. Go back to port, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Just leave, why don't you? You know what I mean? And yes, it might be exciting for you to get a 40,000 or a 50,000 or a 70,000 damage salvo. I've gotten those and it is kind of thrilling. And I go, oh, no way. And then I go, oh, no way, right? It feels genuinely bad sometimes, not only when it happens to you, but sometimes when you do it to another person. The other thing I want to talk about when it comes to detonations, and again, I know some of you guys are sad to see them go, and while I respect your opinion, I want to share some more thoughts. Another thing about them is when they got rid of the you get 10 det flags when you get detonated, which was this beautiful economy that would let you kind of get blown up, but you get a consolation prize, and that'll keep you from getting blown up for a while. That was so nice, and for whatever reason, Wargaming took that away. And when they took that away, the result was, at least for my account, and I imagine for many of you as well, I would consume more det flags than I would earn through missions or containers or whatever. And that meant that after a while, I would have to go buy them. Now, we've all heard the legendary story of a friend of the show, Scott Ahert, who has like literally thousands of det flags because every time he opens a super container, there's det flags in it. That's not been my experience. And I play a lot of destroyers, and as a destroyer main, I am often in the bandwidth of health that lets you get detonated. And so I use them frequently when I play destroyers. I don't really use them on battleships, although I know in clan battles, obviously I recommend doing so. But what that meant was eventually for me, that became a tax on me to avoid detonation. I had to pay more credits just to play my preferred class. And that's fine for me. I've got a 9-year-old account. I have hundreds of millions of credits. I've been playing this game forever. But imagine you're a new player and you're just getting into your game and you're playing cruisers or destroyers or whatever, and you get detonated and you learn that there's this signal that you can get, and you have to go pay like 3 million credits or whatever they cost. I don't remember. I'll put the cost on the screen at some point, for YouTube folks at least. But like you have to go pay however many credits or coal as a new player who doesn't have enough of either of those resources. And sure, there's a coupon to take the edge off, but you know what? You're paying that tax to keep from getting blown up, which prevents you from earning those things in the first place. It was kind of, it's just a bad economy right now. And so not only does it feel bad, man, but it was a tax on players who suffered the most from detonations. Like, it was rough, man, or is rough, I guess. So in 1311, this is going away. Now, again, some people might think, oh, we're going to lose our chance to win the lottery. Biggles points out that you still will be able to get Dev Strike. It's important to understand that a devastating strike and a detonation are not the same mechanic. And you can still take a devastating strike, which is basically a big hit as well. It just might come in the form of one or more penetrations that happen to do large damage. So bear that in mind. You will still be able to get Dev Struck, and that is still going to give us those exciting moments in game, but without the 70,000 damage from a single torpedo from a Hosho or something, right? Which would just be ridiculous. So let's take a look at what Wargaming said. You've already heard what I had to say, which is probably too much. I apologize. It says, based on feedback from you, community contributors, and other volunteers, we've decided to change our stance on the magazine detonation mechanic, and we're going to remove it from the game entirely starting in update 1311. As a result, we're making these additional changes with the start of the update. The Juliet Charlie signal, that's the det flag, will be removed from the game, and it's going to be replaced with the Charlie Kilo signal once 1311 goes live. After removing the Juliet Charlie, which provided protection from magazine detonation, we'll replace it with a new signal, which will provide a decent bonus in utility to all different ship types. Charlie Kilo is going to give you 5% more health and 2.5% more squadron health for those of you of an aircraft carrier persuasion. For all players who own Juliet Charlies, once we go to 1311, they're going to take the full amount of this signal and they're just going to replace them one for one with Charlie Kilo signals. Juliet Charlie signal will be removed from various different distribution sources, so you're not going to get it out of containers anymore. Basically, they're just going to go and take this signal and all ways to get this signal out of the game, and they're going to replace them with Charlie Kilos. So this is a really exciting change, I think, for most players. This is something I think we should herald as a success. So thank you, Wargaming, for taking a listen to the things people have been saying literally for years. This has been a complaint since I started playing the game in 2015, and it's finally going away nearly a decade later. You could say that it's too late, and it is, but at the same time, I do think this is a positive change for the game. So thank you, Wargaming, for this. Chat, let me know what you think, and certainly let me know in YouTube what you think as well. Discuss amongst yourselves. I know some of you guys already did. So that is story number 2, our second story, I guess our first story of the day, really. Our third, our next story here is about some changes to test ships. We're just going to hit this quickly. I don't want to cover this too much because most folks haven't had a chance to try these ships out, but I think it's kind of interesting what they're doing specifically with Yari and with Shinano. If you read over these changes, these look like a lot of buffs to Yari. Forward firing angles have been improved. Torpedo launch time has been reduced, or reload time has been reduced. Main battery turret traverse time has come down. Engine parameters are changed. Acceleration is improved. They removed the ability to mount propulsion mod 1 because it's now redundant. Rudder shift time has been improved. Surface detectability improved. All of this stuff's been improved. And Wargaming basically has a little paragraph in here that says, hey, like we did with Yari, or excuse me, with Victoria, with Yari, we're going to test a bunch of different types of parameters. In other words, we want to try a couple of different versions of the ship. So this is a different version of the ship, and they're going to give it a shot. So we'll see about the changes to Yari. This looks like a large number of buffs and basically no nerfs to Yari. They say, no, it's a different strategy. It's a different kind of build. Maybe it is. I'm kind of curious to see where this goes and which version they end up going with when they put Yari into the game. So keep your eyes on that one. Japanese aircraft carrier Shinano is getting some buffs as well. Number of planes in the attacking flight is going from 3 to 4. The number of planes in a squadron is going up. The number of planes on deck is going up. The bombs now penetrate 32 millimeters of armor and thinner without the possibility of ricocheting. Without the possibility of ricocheting. Without the possibility of ricocheting. Now, I don't actually know what the parameters were on this earlier, but that's pretty powerful. Attack time has been increased from 6 to 12 seconds. I think as a carrier main, more attack time is good, as a carrier main might say. I am not a carrier main, but I don't remember. C's Nuts or anybody else who's in chat, if you guys know, is more attack time a good thing? I got to play more carriers before I remember all of their parameters. Aiming parameters have been adjusted. The expansion of the aiming reticle has been reduced. That's good. C's says that increase to attack time is a good thing. I thought it was. I wanted to have somebody confirm. Squadron maneuverability improved. Torpedo bomber squadron parameters changed. Now there are 9 planes instead of 6. More aircraft on deck. and the surface detectability has been reduced. So this is a series of sweeping buffs to Shinano, which is interesting to see. It means that Wargaming believes that she was performing under what they were expecting, and so she is getting some buffs. Now, does that mean she's good? Does that mean she's bad? I can't speak to any of that right now, but I will say that we are seeing changes to the positive, to the strengthening of Shinano, and I think that's, obviously that's going to make that ship more powerful than she was. Archerfish is also in here. They updated the combat instructions a little bit. Action time's increased. It's now longer. That's a buff. Now the bonus to torpedo tube reload time has been increased. That's also a buff. European battleship Niord, pay attention to this one. This is coming up. The Niord is getting a reload buff from 24 to 21 seconds. And then the Pan-Asian battleship Tangshe is getting a reload time nerf from 31.5 to 33 seconds. So just a couple of buffs and nerfs on test ships. Like I said, I usually skip these, but I do think these are interesting ships, in particular Shinano, which we know is going to be a part of the Steel Will event, as well as Archerfish, that people are kind of watching to see if those might be worth their time to invest in. Okay, let's go back to our top story today, which is a whole bunch of news, but chief among the items in that news is our new Dockyard ship, which is the Pan-European battleship, or the European battleship Niord. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's okay. The article says, don't blink, because 1311 will be here before you know it. Let's dive in and take a look at some of the content that's being added in this update, fresh off the presses. I should say presses, I think, not just press. Dockyard. 1311 is our Christmas update. It's going to bring us the Hamburg Dockyard, at which construction of the European battleship Niord will commence. This camo, by the way, I think looks really good. What do you guys think? This is an interesting looking camo. It's got these kind of Celtic looking, like, I don't know, interwoven links. Somebody probably knows. You may or may not be a turquoise/teal fan. This looks more turquoise, I guess, than teal to me. But I dig this camo. I think it looks good. And I'm curious to see how the community reacts to it. The other thing I like about this camo is if this is, in fact, our Dockyard camo, it doesn't have any, like, flags or frills or weird things that don't look very good, at least to me, in my opinion, in battle, right? It just looks good. There's nothing in here that looks like they should have taken it off for going underway. You know what I mean? But I think it's a good looking camouflage. And it looks like so do you guys in chat. Additionally, you will be able to obtain another ship for free as an intermediate reward. Read on for more details. I will, Wargaming. Niord is a speedy battleship similar in layout to the GK4541 German battleship designs of the First World War. She's also the result of a hypothetical alternate history scenario where maybe Germany laid it down in 1918 and then maybe Sweden purchased it in the 20s and gradually by the end of the 30s did a little bit of modernization, if you will, of the anti-aircraft systems following the Second World War. The ship was named after an ancient Norse god of seafaring, Njord, winds and fishing. So this guy knows how to fish, while also inheriting the name from a coastal defense ship that served in the Swedish Navy in the early decades of the 20th century. So there she is. The ship is armed with 8 380mm guns. Now I want to point out 380s are kind of small at tier 9, at tier 10, at places like this. There are ships with really great 380mm guns. We're looking at you, Borgonia, but there are also boats where the 380s feel a little bit lackluster. Your mileage may vary. I'm really curious to see how this thing will come out and perform, obviously, once it gets into the hands of our players. They've got good accuracy and fast reload time. Welcome to the show, Scotta. While her secondary guns are not the best, she's armed with, well, I forgot about this. I actually forgot about this. She's armed with 20 torpedo tubes, which have signature European tight spread. Those torps also have fast and long range, albeit low damage individually. So they're European torpedoes. They're like the torpedoes we would see on other Pan-Euro boats. Additionally, Niord has good concealment, strong AA defense, and high speed, which are balanced out by low HP and main battery guns with a weak salvo weight. Now, onto the Dockyard itself. The Hamburg Dockyard will contain 20 shipbuilding phases. Hey Clyde, let me stop you right there. This is Clyde in edit mode here, and I'm working on this video, and as I'm doing so, I get some feedback here that Wargaming has changed the pricing structure for the Hamburg Dockyard, and this is good news for us players. It says here that for our New Year update, we had restructured the Dockyard into fewer stages, resulting in a higher price per stage, and for the starter packs. To address the community's concerns, I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, we've increased the number of stages that can be completed through combat missions from 17 to 18, that's big, out of the 20 stages, meaning that you'll only have to purchase 2 stages to complete this dockyard. Additionally, the starter package will now include 2 stages for 5,000 doubloons, and this adjustment keeps the price more consistent with previous dockyards of similar design. So this is a great example of Wargaming responding to feedback quickly, so thanks Wargaming. Obviously we wish they would do this more often, but I'll at least take the win when it happens. Let's get back to the regular news video. Our New Year update will feature many gifts and interesting rewards, including a new free ship for all of our players. This year, you'll be able to unlock the brand new Pan-European Tier 5 destroyer Kalmar, that is a mouthful, in the Hamburg Dockyard as an intermediate reward in the 8th shipbuilding phase. We're also now ready to show Kalmar in her permanent camouflage. You might remember there's a camouflage similar to this one over that we've seen previously for Niord as well. I presume, but don't know for sure, that you'll need that you'll get that camo and maybe this one if this is in fact the Dockyard camo. Time will tell on that. Kalmar's strength lies in her torpedo armament, which consists of fast, long-range torpedoes and 2 triple launchers with access to the signature European narrow spread. The last 2 dockyards, there has been an option if you had a certain ship that you would have had to have gotten through some other money way in the past. You could have completed the dockyards for free. We're just not seeing that here with the Christmas event. Dockyard missions can be completed during update 13.11 and the first 3 weeks of update 14.0. So you have a little bit of time to do them beyond just the patch. During the last week of update 14, you'll only be able to progress by buying them for dubs. This is very normal. This is not a change from anything else that we've seen. Now let's take a look at these clan patrols. I heard some inklings about these, but frankly, I haven't read this in detail, and I'm as curious as maybe some of you might be. 13.11 brings along a temporary new activity called clan patrols, which will be available for any clan member. So make sure you join a clan. Inside this, a special patrol window in the clan tab, you'll be able to choose one battle type to patrol and receive extra rewards just by playing it. Okay, so your clan tab is in the port. If you guys aren't in a clan, it's the rightmost tab. You can just click on that, and it looks like you'll be able to make a selection in there to choose a battle type, and you get extra rewards just for playing your favorite battle type. So this is an engagement mechanic that they're rolling out here. It sounds like Wargaming wants us, A, to be in a clan, B, to play frequently, and C, to log into our accounts, go to the clan tab, and click a button. You know why you can click on the pizza points button in the bottom left corner of my Twitch channel and get more Twitch channel points? Because they want you to be here and be actively clicking on that button. Wargaming's doing the same thing. Scotty, you're already in a clan. You're in my clan. This is very similar to like the Division Stars, I think, but it's got a little bit more mechanic built around it. So feel free to find a clan and get joined up. You'll have an opportunity to earn some bonus rewards. This is a not totally unique idea from Wargaming. And remember, you know, as Scott is, I think, being a little sarcastic here, I'm not making friends and playing Warships with them. That sounds terrible. Screw those guys. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, if you find a clan that's fun to be in, you'll be glad you did. And of course, this is just another way to get some rewards. Cool to do it if you want to. Probably not the end of the world if you don't participate, but there you go. Now you know about it. Asymmetric battles. We heard you, says Wargaming, and we're so excited to share that asymmetric battles are returning for 13.11. We're going to keep it exactly the same as last time with these parameters, and then they list them. That's great. Everybody loves ASIMs, and they're back. Wargaming knows that we love ASIMs, and they know that we want them all the time. And one of the great things about them bringing them back for this patch is this is a great patch where we're going to be doing snowflakes, where a bunch of randos are going to come back and join us who are, let's say seasonal players of World of Warships, and ASIMs will be available, which is really cool. So you can you can almost certainly do your snowflakes and ASIMs and all that kind of stuff, and just go kind of blow off steam and play all kinds of crazy boats, enjoy the holiday patch, and enjoy one of our favorite modes ever. at the same time. So I think that's a really positive thing. It says you can play 6 to tier 10 ships with super ships as well. There'll be 5 ships on the player side. And the maximum difference between tiers will be limited to 1 tier. You can play whatever type of ship floats your boat. Haha, that's funny. And you can do divs of up to 5 players as well. In update 13.11, it's going to bring Brawls with a bunch of different formats. I'm not going to go over the Brawls in detail, but know that we're going to have 5 different Brawls during the patch. There's a 3v3, a 6v6, a 5v5, a 6v6, and then a 4v4. A lot of these are high tier. The lowest tier is tier 8, highest tier is tier 10. If you're a Brawls main who loves to brawl, then you're going to be excited about this. Go check out the Brawls on the dev blog, or there's going to be almost certainly a dedicated article that comes to the website at some point when the patch gets live. Now remember, this is not this next week's patch or whichever one is coming out real soon. This is the one that starts after the patch that's incoming right now. So there's a little time before all of this excitement happens. Bear that in mind. Clan Battle Season 28 is here, and people have opinions about it, including this reporter here at Clyde Plays News, Channel 4. 13.11 brings in a new Clan Battle season. Format, 7v7, Tier 10 ships, and super ships are back. General restrictions, only battleships, destroyers, and cruisers allowed. Okay, that seems fine. No more than 1 battleship per team. All right, I see what you're doing there. Maximum of 3 super ships per team is allowed. Now look, I think this is the first time they've allowed this many super ships. Chat, remind me, have they ever done 2 super ships in a season? I think maybe they did, but I could be making that up. Let me know if they've ever done 2 super ships in a clan battle season. I'm trying to remember. But this is the most they've ever done. 3. Scotta says yes. Nothing says no, it was only 1. I thought maybe there was 1 season where they let us do 2. And I can't remember. But the big point is, this is the first time they've ever done 3. I do believe that Wargaming is like slowly putting us into a situation where one day we will have a clan battle season where it's all super ships. You got to remember that if you're Wargaming, they think of super ships as another tier of ship. They don't have like a specific opinion about super ships. Yes, they treat them differently. They give them a star instead of an 11. But man, they think of those ships as just more ships in the tech tree. Players feel differently. So I don't know how popular this season is going to be. I think there's going to be a lot of people, I don't want to say protesting, but maybe protesting is a good word, who are protesting this. Now, Gaelic Knight, that's something Clyde said, not something Wargaming said. I'm just saying it out loud because I think that they're going to do it someday. They've never said that to me, etc., etc., etc. Okay, let's take a look at restrictions on particular ships. Napoli. So what they're doing is they make these ship groups, by the way. Napoli, Petropavlovsk, Louisiana, Alexander Nevsky, Commissar, and Hildebrand cannot be taken into battles. So Hildebrand, because it's a carrier, they kind of had already said that up here. No carriers allowed, but okay. Commissar was restricted. Now, Commissar was allowed in our most recent Tier 10 clan battle season, and my clan did use it. I would say to some success as well. I'm surprised to see it full-on blocked rather than just restricted, but it is. Nevsky has been banned, I think, is this 2 seasons in a row? 2 Tier 10 seasons in a row? And it has historically been a staple of the lighter cruiser clan battles roster. Louisiana, not surprised. It's a hybrid. They're keeping those out. Petropavlovsk is surprising to me that it is fully banned from the season from the jump. And we may have some reasons why we want to talk about that here in a minute. Napoli, fully banned as well, rather than just restricted. I'm surprised that Napoli, Petro, and Commissar are not on the restricted list, but here we are. Limit the number of Kleber, Marceau, and Marseille. You may not have more than 1 of these ships in total. That's interesting. So these are the go fast boys. A lot of times what you'll see is clans will take 2, sometimes even 3 of these ships when allowed, and they'll run them down one flank, and they're very difficult to deal with. And a lot of seasons, they only restrict you to 2. This season, they're saying only 1, fellas. And so that's interesting. That should slow down the speedy boy run down the side. And a lot of times what people might do is take a Napoli instead, unless it's in the same restriction group, because it's also a relatively quick ship that can run down a flank like that. I think that's going to have the effect of slowing down the battle because Napoli's full on banned and those ships are now restricted. Moskva, Stalingrad, and Des Moines limited in a group. You can only have one. So you can only have one Moskva, one Stalingrad, or one Des Moines. I wish Des Moines wasn't in that group. But here we are, right? They're putting a restriction on the regular tier 10s that we're used to, which is kind of a bummer. And again, banning Petro, banning Nevsky. Smolensk and Gdansk, limited. You may not have more than one. I actually have no problem with this. This is a good thing, in my opinion. I'd like to see those ships continue to be restricted. I think that's maybe a good thing. I don't know. Maybe not Gdansk so much, but I don't want like too many Smolens. Limited the number of Ushakov, Zorky, Annapolis, and Conde. All of these ships have had a certain amount of popularity in years past. Ushakov was popular last time we had... hey, thanks for the sub, Freak Nick. Welcome to the channel and the sub list, I should say. You've been around before, but welcome and thanks for the sub. Ushakov was just this giant brick, this doorstop. You could just jam into a cap, and it was really hard to kill. So they've limited that. Zorky, we wouldn't see a lot of Zorkies at our level. We are a Storm clan, a Gold clan, so kind of mid-level. We wouldn't see a lot of Zorkies, but it's kind of similar to this Kleber, Marceau, and Marseilles. So I think what we might see is if people want to run that Speedy Boy blend, they might take a Zorky and a Marseille. That puts a lot of hit points in the Marseille, and then a lot of speed and some rat-a-tat-tat in the Zorky. I could see people trying that combination. Annapolis and Des Moines restricted. That's kind of rough, right? Like you could, I guess, take an Annapolis or a Des Moines or both. And this is a way to take people who might have run to Des Moines with the other cruiser restrictions and say, no, you got to take one of them as a super ship. Conde, I think, is a good ship to have restricted. Let's be realistic about that. Conde is almost an auto selection for people. In clan battles when it's available. So I think we may see a lot of people using this category to grab Conde. They've got some maps, of course, selected, and these are all pretty common maps that we see in clan battle seasons. So I think what we're seeing is Wargaming kind of trying to put some restrictions on there that encourage people to try super ships in clan battles. Of course, they've also opened up 3 clan battle slots on every team, and if your team chooses to protest the super ship thing, if they don't want to do that, they're going to find themselves in a situation where they're going to face ships that are teams that ran 3 super ships. And that's going to suck. It's not going to feel good. You'll also notice that Novosibirsk was not restricted in there. So if you're not able to run your Petro, if you're not able to run as many Moskvas as you want, Novosibirsk might be the boat that you wind up taking. And you might see teams that run 3 Novosibirsks. I don't think that seems to be against the rules right here. There's your new Iron Curtain. There's a lot of chatter in my Discord, and I'm assuming a lot of chatter in other people's Discords as well about the clan battle season. I'm curious to see how many people are going to play this season. I know that my clan will at least give it a try. We'll play a few battles. We'll see how it goes. But I definitely imagine that there are going to be some folks who sit this one out either because they can't afford those ships, they don't have them. Maybe they're a younger clan that doesn't have as developed of a roster, or they might just be real obstinate about it and just not be willing to play super ships. Because I think the player base, we got to remember the players have a very kind of a stigma with super ships right now. Maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't. That's not for me to say, but I think players do. And there are some players who just refuse to buy super ships. And if that's the case, then those players are going to either go into a battle less equipped or they're going to have to get super ships for this season. So interesting information about Clan Battle Season 28. Really curious about your guys' thoughts. If you're watching on YouTube, of course, hit me up in the comments. I'd be interested to respond to those. If you are watching on Twitch, of course, I've been watching your comments roll by. I've acknowledged a couple of them. Famous Potatoes mentions that you can go Salem. Salem's an option for sure. You lose the hydros that you get on, I think, both Annapolis and Des Moines, and you get a shorter range radar, but you do get a super heal. So I think you'll see some Salems out there for sure. And then we got, again, the Archerfish flag and the Archerfish patch, which actually is a really cool looking fish with a bow and arrow launching a torpedo. It's pretty dope. These are coming to the virtual seas eventually. Everybody, thank you so much for watching Clyde Plays News. I hope that you enjoyed this and that you learned something. Maybe you got some information you wouldn't have had otherwise. If you like this video and you're watching it on YouTube, share it with a friend. If you haven't hit the subscribe button on YouTube or the follow button on Twitch, why not do it? It's a great place to be, don't you think? I can read you a story sometimes. With all of that said, guys, thanks so much for watching. We're going to head back over and play some more battles on Twitch. If you haven't ever been to Twitch, I don't know why you don't pop by and check us out, twitch.tv/ClydePlaysLive. Even if you can't be there for the live show, the VODs are there for a couple of weeks. You can always catch up and see what a live stream's like. Maybe you're new to Twitch, you haven't tried it yet. See if you like it. It might be fun. And of course, if you're watching on Twitch, why don't you get on over to YouTube? It's a good place to be too. Everybody, thanks so much for watching. We're going to go goodbye.
This has been the news on Clyde Plays Live.